Let's jump to this story we got from Yahoo News. It's actually syndicated from the National Review. San Francisco Reparations Committee chairman admits no math formula behind $5 million payout plan. That's right. They're going to write a $5 million check to each black resident, and they didn't use a mathematical formula to determine that. They just decided that's the number, I guess, plus like a lifetime guarantee of revenue. But Aldo, you're just mentioning that people build communities and personalities around grievances. And I have to wonder if one of the reasons we're never actually going to see reparations is because these political groups need it as a political cudgel, as a tool to win power.
Yeah, no, I agree.
This plan is going to cost billions of dollars. Like
this plan,
San Francisco, it's like I think twice the budget of like the city budget. Like they cannot afford it, and they're like, it doesn't matter. We'll just say yes and figure it out later.
It's crazy that they haven't figured it out yet. That they are political pawns until the end of time. If they keep saying, well, we're going to give you this because you're black. We're going to give you this if your ancestors were slaves. It's like
what if your ancestors were slave owners? Do you?
I don't know. My family came over later, so don't look at me.
Well, because Angela Davis is descended from the Mayflower.
I love this story.
But I mean, it's like, look, a lot of people on the right are like, Angela Davis, she's like a Black Panther, right?
She committed communist. The Communist Party in America was not radical enough for her, so she quit.
But like the thing is, you know, these people, like y'all do realize the reason she's descended from people from the Mayflower is not because she's like the heir to the Mayflower family. It's because the slave owners probably raped her ancestors and like had kids. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like, you know, a daughter in the Mayflower family fell in love with a black man and they decided to defy the law and miscegenation and have kids. It was probably a slave woman being raped by a slave owner or something like that. So it's like, it's not like, you know, when people are making fun of her, I'm like, it's kind of a bad thing. But my question then becomes, she's still the descendants of slave owners, right? Like, how does that work?
Well, it doesn't matter because they'll still claim that, well, your skin color still made it so that the social, you know, the social interactions, you know, you were still discriminated against, even though these were your descendants. But yeah, it does go back to that community of victimhood. And you could see it on her face when she was told, oh, your ancestors came on the Mayflower. She was like, oh, no, this is too much. Like, this is horrible. It's like you should probably get a 23andMe or an ancestry.com before you start making your entire career and your entire personality predicated on the idea that you were a victim.
To be fair, she was doing this in the 60s. This was a little before they sequenced the genome. I just want to say that this is probably Scott Adams approved.
The reparations?
Yeah, because black people are going to go like mad to San Francisco.
Scott Adams said in that video where they called him racist, he said he was in favor of affirmative action and diversity programs and stuff like that. So it's just like they really did cut the context of what he was saying because he was like, I support these things. Like, you know, yeah. But anyway.
Well, the San Francisco one is crazy because there are qualifications. It can't just be anyone, right? So you have to have been in the city between 1940 and 1996. Or you have been like if you've
96?
gone... Yeah, if you were born between 1940 and 1996, or were resident there for at least 13 years, if you've migrated there from a different country between 1940 and 1996, you also like can have been personally affected. I'm not sure. I couldn't get an explanation out of the document I read because they proposed this a couple months ago, and at the time, this program is going to cost $50 billion. So what I think is crazy is they're saying, like, a couple of the other things is like, if you've been affected by the war on drugs, you meet one of the two of 8 criteria that you need to.
I got a compromise. Take the $50 billion from one of these woke big tech companies, Facebook or something. Take $50 billion from them and then give out reparations. I would accept those terms.
No, it will never end though. They'll get reparations, and it's never ending.
Yeah, I mean, my point though is I don't care. It destroys Facebook.
Yeah.
So you know, it's like whatever.
No, this makes me think.
We'll keep doing it. We'll be like, oh no, we got to get more reparations. Oh, what's that? Google? Oh, geez, gonna have to take money from you next. Oh, what's that? Pfizer?
But maybe they should, right? Because if you're saying
Vanguard?
like. Black Americans in San Francisco have been disproportionately affected by a lot of things, and they now can't afford housing here. Well, who drove up housing in San Francisco? San Francisco's already expensive, but tech industry did. So maybe Google and Facebook should contribute to this fund.
Yeah, but
what I think is crazy is that they're saying like, yeah, we'll say yes because they know they'll possibly get elected off of it. It's never going to happen. There's no way they have $50 billion to fund this program. They're just going to say, but we're the ones who voted in favor of reparations, so elect me again.
I mean, you guys bring up interesting points, but you fail to consider what these tech engineers will eat for lunch if they give away all this money. How will they get their steak lunches? How will they get their wine on tap, Tim?
That is true.
Come on.
I know that keeps me up at night sometimes.
We'll have to pay them reparations.
I'm imagining some 22-year-old fresh out of college, crying because the wine on tap stopped running.
I think that really we shouldn't harm the tech industry. We should just rob all of middle America to pay for San Francisco's reparation program.
Yeah, no, I'm
So you
confused.
agree?
There's a lot going on here. Sorry. Yeah, no, this reminds me. I did a man on the street in San Francisco a couple months back when they were doing their reparations program, quote unquote, for trans people in San Francisco that said if you're trans, you were negatively affected by the social ills and the discrimination against transgenders. And so they were giving out money. What was it? It was like $1,300 a month for up to 18 months.
You're getting paid just to be you.
Yeah.
The weirdest thing about the reparations in California is that California was never a slave state.
Yeah,
It's like I don't understand what is California paying for.
They're just to prove that they are the most sorry, that they
It's
are the
fake.
most
It's completely
progressive.
fake.
It's totally fake, and it can't happen. So if you're a Black American in San Francisco who really thinks like maybe I will make some money off of this, like you're being lied to, and they're okay with that because it scores them essentially cheap political points.
$5 million per person.
I mean,
If you can identify as trans, can I identify as Black and move to San Francisco?
No, you
Yes.
can't.
You have to, it says here, you have to have identified as Black or African American on public documents for at least 10 years.
Ooh.
So like even if you're white. If for the
Rachel
past 10
Dolezal's like, I'm ready. Here we go.
I mean, but
I
hold
put-
on. What if she is a descendant of slaves? You know what I mean? Like Angela Davis is a descendant of the Mayflower Pilgrims or whatever, or colonists or whatever.
I
So-
feel like
so,
if anyone, Rachel Dolezal might be descendant of Irish indentured servants, but I doubt that she is affected by the slave trade.
But I'm not saying necessarily her. I'm saying that there's going to be some white dude with blonde hair and blue eyes who pulls out his 23andMe and it's like 2.7% Black, and he's gonna be like, "Yep, there's like old great grandma," and
Or
she was-
Serge, right?
I
Serge's
can't-
African American.
I cannot wait for Tariq Nasheed's take on this because you do know about his whole thing about the FBAs, the Foundational Black Americans. You know Tariq Nasheed.
Yeah, of
So
course.
yeah, he
He's like
like
a Black nationalist guy.
yeah, and he rails against the non-FBAs. So essentially, if you weren't a foundational Black American, if you weren't some of the first slaves, then he gets mad at these Africans and these other Black people that came over later or just recently, and they say that they're entitled to these reparations, and he goes hard on them. So I'm looking forward to his take on this.
racism is so profitable. He's racist against other Black people.
He is.
So I got an idea because people.
I'm not totally against his point, though. Like, if we're going to do reparations, I kind of get what he's saying.
People are super chatting about how they're working hard and working in factories and all that stuff. Here's my plan. All right. In the future, if I ever end up finding myself in office, I'll propose a bill. Or maybe when I go talk to Matt Gaetz, I'll be like, hey, make this bill that if you work in a non-labor job, you got to pay double the taxes, and that goes to the people who actually do work. There you go. Problem solved. So like if you work at a university, well, we're going to take an extra, 15% of your paycheck and it's going to go pay a factory worker's salary.
It's the
I
last.
like that.
It's the least we could do to help the workers, right? You don't oppose the workers, do you?
It's an OnlyFans tax, right? Let's take
That's
30%
right.
out of the OnlyFans models and give them to the
Stock
FBAs.
brokers,
It's
day
a-
traders, universities, professors, feminist dance theorists, all
Anybody
that.
that can't get
tax
fired.
on all of that. Yeah, government bureaucrats,
Yeah.
and then anybody who actually makes stuff, they get a bonus in their salary, supplemental income. That's socialism. I mean, right? They agree with it, don't they?
Or maybe we should just make everyone complete 2 years of like a skill trade before they can enter a four-year university. Like maybe you should have to work with your hands before you pursue your degree.
I think
No.
every gender studies degree should
You-
have at
you
least
work
one
with your
class
hands,
where
you're
they're
in a
like
band.
they're forced to
break rocks.
Yeah. Or just shadow like a plumber.
I just love
or
it.
a
There
farmer.
was a meme of some like leftist being like, I can't wait till we make them break rocks so that they can figure out what a real day of hard work feels like. And it's just like, you don't work. What are you talking about? Who are you talking about? The dude who works in a factory driving a forklift all day and is covered in sweat, and the guy who works on a petroleum rig drenched in oil and high chance of death?
Do you ever see those videos on Instagram or TikTok where it's like a day in my life as a consultant? Well, I woke up at 9:30 and I put on my sweatsuit and then I went to my desk to start working and like seemed perfectly pleasant, have a good time. But I really want like a commercial electrician to make one. Oh, I woke up at 3 a.m. and commuted to work, and then I wired and I had to cut all this stuff. Like I carried.
Got into an argument with a client, and it's like him filming a guy yelling at him.
Yeah,
it's just them going to 7 meetings a day. What do you need to go to a meeting for? Like, do you think farmers like have meetings every morning for 3 hours? You think the guy in the oil rig is like, yeah, I went to 4 meetings today.
He's like, no, he's like, I'll circle back to it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Look at how many people Twitter fired in the past 6 months.
Oh, man.
And Twitter essentially operates the same. And they fired thousands of people.
Now think about that at every university in America.
Every big tech company, every startup, everybody that could convince someone with some money that give me money and I'll make your money into a tech giant or whatever. They get funding and they load it up with all their friends who are doing nothing at all.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.